Yo guys, how's it going? AK Moto here. We are finally back with another video, and today we are going to be getting started on our 2019 KTM 250Sx-F here. So if you guys haven't seen the last video, I'll link it in the top of your screen. There'll be a little card you can click. But basically we bought a blown up dirt bike. So this is a 2019 KTM 250Sx-F and it's blown up. So this had the classical oil pump gear failure on the KTM here. Basically these KTMs have plastic oil pump gears. Due to their design, they are prone to warping under really high heat, and that's what happened here. Cylinder head got starved of oil, and we have a cylinder head that's no good, cams that are no good. Rest of the motor to be determined. But yeah, this is literally where the bike has been sitting since we bought it. I haven't touched it at all. If you guys watched that last video, you guys will see, I mean, we literally put the bike here, parked it, and I haven't done anything since. So today we're finally gonna be getting that thing out. I'm gonna get the motor up here on our workbench, and we're gonna take a look at it, start tearing into stuff, and just get a rough idea of some of the parts we're gonna need. And honestly, as you guys can see behind me, I have all the Yamahas, and I've never really worked extensively on a KTM to this extent. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we also have to order some new tools, you know, like flywheel puller, stuff like that. But yeah, let's quit talking, let's get this bike out right here, and then we'll also get the motor right over there, start taking a look at the damage. So everything here in these two boxes is basically everything we have for the engine. So you guys can see the cylinder, piston. Supposedly that top end's fine, and I quickly looked at it and it looks fine. We're gonna inspect it more. But I'm definitely gonna buy a new piston either way, no matter what. We can inspect that cylinder. We have case cover, cylinder head right there, or valve cover, not cylinder head, but the valve cover for the cylinder head. I've got our clutch, and then a lot of miscellaneous hardware right there, coolant hoses, looks like a battery down there, frame guards. Can take that out of there for now. So just some engine parts in here. Unfortunately, these have been sitting in this box in my garage, completely open. So we're gonna need to clean pretty much everything very, very well. Right over here in this box, we have our cylinder head. Now I already know this thing's probably toast, but we're still gonna disassemble it anyway. Oh yeah, that's a lot of friction there. Just trying to move that cam there in the cylinder head. Yeah, it's not smooth at all, but honestly not terrible. It's not totally locked up. And then in this bin is the bottom end. So I'm gonna move everything right over here. So we're gonna just place the engine right here and just get a look at it. Alright guys, so we got this thing up on the workbench. You're looking at the cylinder head here. I'm gonna take off the cam caps here. And as you guys can see, I mean, I already saw pictures of all this on the listing when I bought the bike, but those cam journals are not looking healthy. Typical oil starvation. These cams, let's see if I can get this bad boy out. There we go. Cam's not looking amazing either. Honestly, not as bad as I thought they would be. They don't look good. And of course these are going to be no good. And I'm going to look into if we can get this cylinder head and maybe even the cams repaired economically. But if not, then we're looking at a new cylinder head and cams, which, you know, I completely expect to have to buy. But the lobes on these cams don't look terrible. So yeah guys, I've definitely seen worse. But the head is definitely what took the brunt of the damage here, because of course these are aluminum here, and this cam is steel, so the aluminum will be the part that gets chewed up a lot more. But yeah, we're definitely not looking too good. The lobes on the cams though, they look fine, perfectly runnable. And here let's move on to our cylinder and piston. Now I don't expect these to be good, but they actually do look really good. I'm not going to reuse this piston in all honesty. It's not going to be that much to throw a new piston in the bike. But just looking at the piston, looking at the cylinder, The previous owner said it has a pretty new top end, and as you guys can see, there's not a whole lot of wear on the skirt. That little bit of wear that you guys can see, let me make sure I'm in focus for you guys. That little bit of wear that you do see here on this coating is something that wears off pretty quickly anyway. But overall, this top end, at least the piston and the cylinder, do look really, really good. Wrist pin looks really good, which is all a really, really good sign that this bike wasn't ran for too long under the oil starved condition here. Or at the very least, if it was ran for a while, when starved of oil, it seems like our cylinder head is what took the brunt of the damage. If our piston and cylinder are in pretty good condition, that's a pretty good sign. So when inspecting a 4-stroke cylinder, you're looking for quite a few things. One of the biggest ones you can look for when it comes to just wear and tear is just feeling here at the top of the cylinder here for like a groove, or like just like a wear difference where you can feel where the piston has been and then where it doesn't touch the cylinder here for the piston rings. If you feel like a little bump right here, the cylinder is probably going to be no good. It has quite a bit of wear. This one feels completely smooth. And just looking into the cylinder itself, you guys can kind of see if I wipe it. You guys can see some cross hatching. Everything feels good. Nothing's catching a fingernail. Now you guys can see some up and down lines there, but that's nothing to worry about. Coating looks all completely intact, and we're completely smooth all the way around. So our cylinder actually looks good. We could probably get away with a good hone, fresh piston, and we're gonna have a completely healthy top end as far as the cylinder goes. Just gonna give you guys a little bit of a closer view here in our cylinder. So yeah, not looking too bad. Nothing that catches the nail. Cross hatchings there. Relatively good condition. Alright guys, one thing I almost forgot to check for here on our cylinder is warpage. So we're just going to get a straight edge here and check and make sure none of our sealing surfaces are warped due to excessive heat in the motor. Again, we already inspected our bore and everything's looking pretty good. The cylinder will probably be just fine with a light hone. But let's check for warpage real quick just to make sure our cylinder isn't warped at all. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to shine a light on the other side of our straight edge here, and if you guys can see any light coming through here, that means we're warped. Overall it looks pretty good though. So we'll check on like a crisscross. It looks beautiful. Check it on a couple different dimensions here. Oh yeah, we're golden. And it turns out I actually already have the right size cylinder hone here ready for this cylinder, all good to go. So, as you guys can see, I have a couple and I have a couple more in the toolbox. So yeah, we have one that fits. We're gonna quickly get the cylinder honed up, and basically it'll be completely ready to go. I might clean it a little bit more afterwards, but our cylinder will be pretty much good to go after a quick little hone. Little ball hone here should do the trick. And just like that, guys, our cylinder looks brand spanking new. Don't mind the little bit of dirt in there. Brand spanking new, nice crosshatch. Usually when we're going for a crosshatch, we want a 30-degree angle. Let me flip this over for you guys so you guys can see a little better. This is probably the best focus I'm gonna get, but usually you wanna aim for a roughly 30-degree crosshatch. And yeah, there we go. So our cylinder, guys, is pretty much all ready and good to go. And here's the oil pump gear off of this bike. Actually, you guys can see it's a plastic gear and it's warped. That is no good. So this is the root cause of all the other issues in the engine, and not ideal. Not ideal. So we got our cylinder dialed in. Next up is our cylinder head. We're gonna get this thing all torn down and cleaned up and give it a real good inspection. Alright guys, so I just flipped the cylinder head over here. As you guys can see, there's some damage here on our cylinder head. And this basically tells us at one point or another there was some debris that got into our combustion chamber and did some damage here. So there's a possibility maybe this bike at one point dropped the valve or something happened. Maybe like a spark plug tip broke. Something must have happened to where some pretty gnarly damage was done to this cylinder head. And yeah, you guys can kind of see the markings here, a little bit over here. Our valves look completely fine. Our valves don't have any damage on them from what I can see, other than just some carbon buildup. Just a little bit of damage that I didn't really see until now. This is definitely something I could have caught earlier if I would have just paid a little bit more attention, but this doesn't worry me because honestly we're probably gonna end up completely replacing this cylinder head anyway, guys. Now, with this little bit of damage, if we were to run the cylinder head, would this really be a big deal? Probably not. Obviously it's not ideal, but the bike would probably run fine with this damage here. But again, as you guys know, the top half of the cylinder head, so the cam journals and all that stuff, are no good. So this just kind of gives us more reasons to replace our cylinder head as opposed to maybe looking into getting a machine shop to fix it, something like that. Give me another minute, guys. I'm gonna keep cleaning some of this carbon buildup here off of these valves just so we can inspect those really well. And then we'll actually pull these valves out, pull all of our valve chain components, so our spring seats, keepers, all that stuff. We'll pull all that out to where we have our bare cylinder head assembly. Alright guys, so I got some of the carbon cleaned off of our cylinder head here. And as you guys can see, this bike actually has some aftermarket valves in it. Now that you guys can see the logos on the valves, these are all Del West valves, which are quality valves. That is a reputable company right there. But just kind of makes you wonder on the history of this cylinder head or on the history of this motor. I wonder if this bike has dropped a valve in the past. That would explain the damage here. And then the 4 new valves, of course. There's something that is possible. That's not set in stone, but that's a possible hypothesis that would explain the damage here and the 4 brand new, or I'm not going to say brand new, but the 4 aftermarket valves. But one good thing is these are really good quality valves right here, so that is nice to see. Alright guys, so we have the top end completely torn down. As you guys can see, the cylinder head right behind me is completely bare with all the valve train components right behind it. So our cylinder head's completely toast. We're gonna need a new cylinder head. As you guys saw earlier in the video, by the damage on the cylinder head, it looks like at one point this bike might have dropped the valve, and there's a little bit of just battle scars in the cylinder head. Now, none of that would really affect the bike too much when it's actually running, but I'm gonna get a new cylinder head just because we have that damage and the damage that we already know about with the cams. So we're gonna get some new cams. I'm just gonna buy KTM OEM cams. We're gonna buy a brand new OEM head as well. And yeah, our stock cylinder looks completely good. I gave it a quick hone and it looks completely just like brand new. We're gonna be getting a fresh top end. I actually searched up the part numbers on the piston that I took out of the bike, and it was a Wiseco. So I'm just gonna get the same exact piston, but a new one, just another Wiseco. And yeah, that top end I can tell just by inspecting it is super low hours, but we're gonna throw a new one in there while we're here. And yeah, so the next thing we're gonna have to do, guys, is tear into this bottom end. That's gonna be a big project, and I'm really looking forward to it. That's probably gonna be the next video, but yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Just a quick little first look at the condition of the top end. I need to get some parts ordered. We need to get some more work done on that bottom end over there. But yeah, for now, guys, this is gonna be all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe so you guys don't miss any of these videos. And yeah, peace.